Hey everyone, welcome to this quick mini guide to understanding the basics of Framer, the design tool for creating stunning websites. Whether you're a total beginner or just exploring Framer, this video is for you. In this video, we're going to cover the four key topics that will set you up for success in Framer. We're going to start with frames, then we're going to proceed and check out positioning. Then we're gonna look at stacks and grids, and then finally we're gonna look at sizing. These key properties are gonna help you understand how to use the tool and make the best of it. My name is Joe and this is Framer Dive. Let's get started. So the first thing we're looking at is what we call frames. So frames are building blocks in Framer, and we can call them the foundational building blocks. It's the first thing that you need to know when you go into Framer. So we can use frame to create elements like buttons, images, and even basic layouts. So we can even place elements inside them. We can place text, we can place images or frames. So about an analogy, think of it like a picture frame. So a picture frame is just a boundary of four corners, and that's the same thing as a frame. So I'm gonna show you how you create your first frame. So you're gonna hold F on your keyboard, or rather if you're new to Framer, let's just take it simple and just right click on your mouse, and you're gonna see this panel here, and then you're gonna come all the way to add a frame, but as you can see it's grayed out, so we can't create it. So let's go back again. So I'm gonna come here to this top left. I can see layout, I can see frame, and then now as you can see my cursor is changing to a cross, and then I can draw my frame like that. Okay, so this is my first frame. So this is basically as simple as that, and what we can use this frame for, we can use it as a section of our website. So we can say we want this to be the section of our website where we're gonna place in a bunch of images or text inside it, and we can also use a frame to draw buttons. So I can draw a button and I can call this a button. So that's basically it. So this is a frame and this is the function of a frame. So let's get on to the second part, which I want to show you is this thing called positioning. So positioning is where we've drawn a frame. Yes, we need to know how to position them. So we have two kinds of positioning. We have absolute and we have relative positioning. And basically absolute positioning is elements have no defined layout. It's like a freeform kind, and elements and in relative have layout to them. So we can look at it as a freeform. As you can see on this diagram, this image or this frame inside here is kind of freeform, and also this one is free. They're kind of freeing around this gray area. And then on this right side, we can see that we have kind of seem like rectangles inside here, but these rectangles have a layout to them. So let me show you a quick example of what we mean by positioning and basic positioning, like absolute and relative. So I'm gonna go back to my page here, and as you can see, this button that we've just created is absolutely positioned. What I mean is that we can, let me just get here. What I mean is that we can position it anywhere on our canvas. Okay, so if I want to change now from absolute, as you can see it's absolute, to relative, I just come here to positioning panel on the right side, and I just drop down menu, and as you can see we want to change it to relative, but it's grayed out, so we have a problem here. So to understand relative, we have to come to the desktop, and we need to add something called a layout to it. So layout is just a way of just positioning the button. As you can see, the button has moved from this anywhere on the form canvas to when we add a layout to the desktop. Notice I've clicked the desktop, and when I add a layout to it, we can see that it comes to the top, and then now I can now adjust it based on this layout side. So that's basic understanding of this thing called positioning. So kind of have rules to it, okay? And so if I want to draw a frame again, I'm just gonna draw a frame, and inside this I'm gonna give it let's see, I'm gonna give it a bunch of shapes inside it. And let me just put different colors so you can see what I'm trying to do. So as you can see, this one has let me give it a blue color. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 shapes, and they're positioned absolutely in this white canvas. So for us to have a layout to it, to have relative positioning, we just need to come to the parent and we need to change it to layout. And as you can see, the positioning type is a relative, and we don't no longer have this, you know, this like this one. We no longer have this. Let me show you. If I remove the layout and I put it absolute, as you can see, we have this setting of how to adjust it. So that's basically it. So the next part we want to also look at is stacks and grids. So a stack and a grid is how we organize and align content. So we can look at positioning in terms of rows, columns, and grids. And it also gives you another element or where you can control the gapping, the padding, and alignment effortlessly. So as you can see, this is arranged in a row, 1, 2, 3, and this one are 3 columns, and this one are grids. So as you can see from these parts here, relative, we actually building on this idea of relative positioning. And what we're happening here, all these elements are arranged relatively, but they have different, you know, they have different kind of styles, or not styles, sorry, they have a different layout. So if I go to my layout here and I say I want to create something with a kind of a different layout, so I drew my frame. As you can see, this is how we draw a frame. Or you can right click and just come to the top part, top left, and just draw frame. So in this frame, we want to add another shape inside it, and I'm going to give it a color. We can see it again. I'm going to give it a blue color like that. So we have 1 and 2. And so what we want here to do is we want to add a layout to this. So as you can see, it doesn't have a defined layout or a structure. So we can come here to layout and just click this plus icon, and all of a sudden, sorry, go back, we make sure you click this white one, and you can see on the layouts panel, which is on the center here, if I click the frame, you can see that if I click the frame and come to the layout and I click this plus icon, and then we can see now that our contents have a layout to it. So if I draw another frame, which I can add a frame, sorry, if I draw a frame here, so I can come here to frame, and I just hold another frame here. As you can see, we have a certain layout to our shapes inside, and this is what we mean by a layout. So the good thing with a layout, we can adjust the properties in the layouts panel. So we can change the direction from, instead of coming from top to bottom, we can use this direction called left to right. So as you can see, now we have these shapes arranged from left to right. And then again, when we go to the layout, we have other properties. We can align it to the top. As you can see, you can align it to the center or the bottom. And then we have this called wrapping. So wrapping basically mean, do we want this to overextend? So if I click yes wrapping, as you can see, what happens is that these frames or these rectangles are wrapped. They go on top of each other. So what it means is that we don't want these frames to extend outside. So we want to wrap this layout into, you know, something that fits well. As you can see, this is the idea of wrapping. Okay, so and then finally, when we come to the layout again, we have the gapping and the padding. So I can adjust the gap between the elements like that. I can also adjust the padding. So basically, the reason why padding is not working here, or you cannot really see it, is because what we need to do, we need to go to these frames and we need to adjust the sizing. So if I give this a sizing of a fill, as you can see, we have a width of 446. So I give it a size of fill, all of a sudden it's filling the available space, and I give this one fill, I give this one fill. Now all these are filling this space. So when I come to the layout again and I adjust the padding, you can see the distance between our content and the stack itself is changing, okay, like that. So that's the basic idea of what we call stacks and grids. And we can also change it into a grid. So if I go back to this and I want to change it into a grid, as you can see, it changes into a nice grid, and we can adjust it to our liking. So the final thing I want to look at is what we call sizing. And so sizing comes like, it's basically how big or how small our elements are. So we have three types of sizing. We have fixed size, we have percentage based, and auto sizing. And what we mean by fixed sizing is that elements are just based on their pixel value, and percentage sizing elements are just based on their percentage value, and auto sizing, they are just based on their content. So what you can see here is you can see that there's a frame here, there are two rectangles on this part, and the width and the height are adjusted based on their pixel value. And then this other one, we can see that the elements or the rectangles or the frames, whatever you want to call them, inside here, this has a width of 50%. So notice that it will, if this width is 100, then the width of this first one is going to be 50. And then if this is 100, of course, this is going to be 100. And then this one is 1%. So it means that if this width is 100, then this one is 1 pixel. So if this is 100 pixel, this is 1 pixel. And then finally, we have auto sizing. So we have two major ideas about auto sizing. So this is when the elements, we talk about the frames, the text, adjust based on their content. So we have a content that is inside and a content that is outside. As you can see here, we have images that are inside this bottom white one, and then this other one has nothing inside it. So what we have here is that this white one is set to fill as a sizing of itself. So it's gonna fill the whole space on the width, and the width of this one is set to fit the content, and the height also is set to fit the content, because now as you can see we have, so let me show you, let me demonstrate to you what I mean here. So if I draw a frame like the one I have, and then I want to show you how we can see fit content. So if I draw another frame inside here, so notice if let me give this a color. So notice if I go to the width, fill and fit is kind of, grayed out. We can't use them. This is because they depend on this property called a layout. This parent, or this main frame here, this white one, has to have a layout, okay? And so now when we come to the frame, as you can see, when we come to the width, we can see we have the fill option, and I can click fill, and we can see that the width is filling this whole available space from here to fill. Nice. So this is the idea of fill. So as you can see, when I come to fit content, we can't fit this frame into fit content. This is because there is no content inside this frame. So if I come and draw another frame inside here, or a bunch of text, as you can see, we have text. I say, hey, there. So we have a text inside here. And so I want to come to my frame and I want to say, I want you to fit this content. So if I go to the height, as you can see, we have fit content, and if I click it, oops, as you can see, okay, we have a problem here. Is because our text is very small. So let me just adjust the height of our text. Yeah, so when I come back to the frame and I click here fit content, it gonna fit the text. And then we can also do this on the width. I can come here and click fit content, and as you can see, we have this nice ability to just fit the content, which is this text. And also this can happen with even frames. If I draw a frame inside here and I set this to fit content, it's gonna fit this frame. And so we can see it's gonna fit this frame. So, and then when I adjust the height again, it's also fitting the frame. So as you can see, and we can see by these blue lines on the edges, it shows us that this is fitting the content. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty the whole idea. And yeah, so I hope you learned something. And if you wish to learn more about Framer, you can check out other resources on the internet. And this is a very good tool for you to just run prototypes or even design websites that are fast, smooth, and efficient. So if you have any other question or if you have any clarification that you need, you can always text me, or you can text me via email or comment below, and I will reply to you. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video.